Welcome back, YouTube, for today's video. I know this is part two. I did say I was gonna take a few minutes and record the second part immediately. So yeah, here we are. Now Eclipse has heard me. So she's being quite loud. I'm not giving her enough attention, and no one else is here right now, so she's pretty upset about that. So, part two of the draft recap. We're going to go ahead and just get right into it. So, we have Shadow King's team. Shadow King's team. New Shadow King's team. If you remember last season's team, it wasn't the greatest, but it's okay. Let's see what he decided to do this time to make it different. So, we have Glamora Kingambit, Charizard, regular Charizard, third pick, Gliscor, Torterra, Mega Banette, which is pretty darn strong right now with Poltergeist, Whimsicott, Venusaur, Zoroark, Dekidui, Hisuian, all forms of Paldean Tauros, and Diancie. Okay, so what do I feel about this draft? Oh my gosh, it is everywhere. Let me tell you what. We have a whole bunch of Pokemon that don't really do anything. I will tell you that right now. In all honesty, a lot of these Pokemon do not do anything. But we have Glamora Kingambit, which is nice. You know, Glamora is a very strong Pokemon. Kingambit can be an absolute menace to society if, given the right conditions to be a menace to society. That being said, without terrestrializing, it's not quite as good. We also have Charizard, which doesn't do anything. We have Gliscor, which is going to be very strong. Probably the best Pokemon in this draft, for sure. We have a lot of Pokemon with hazards. I mean, clearly we have rocks, and also spikes, rocks and also spikes. We have, rocks. So we have plenty of rocks all over the place. I love rocks. I would die for rocks, right? Also, I had a cup of coffee between the last recording and this one. So I am a little bit more awake than I was before. Great stuff, right? So another thing, no dragon type, at least as far as there's no dragons there. We're missing a dragon type. Dragon is a very good type offensively. It's so powerful that they had to release fairy to nerf dragon. Why are we missing our dragon type? We need to get one of those. But beyond that, in all seriousness, we got like Moral Spin, gonna definitely be using heavy duty boots, so it can be Defogger. We definitely are going to have Defog there. So the hazards game is actually not all that bad. The issue, however, is that we have, and let's count together, grass type, grass type, grass type, grass type, 4 grass types. We have created the classic Connect 4 with all of our grass types, and now we are going to lose to every fire type that ever existed. Fantastic. I love that. In addition to this, we also really struggle with ice types, because if we want to talk about our ice resistances, we have Kingambit, Fire Tauros, and Water Tauros. And that's not exactly what you want defensively. I'll tell you what, Ice is a very good type offensively, and you should always be prepared for it. We also I can't say we struggle with ground types, but we do kind of struggle with Pokemon that have Volt Switch. We only have one real answer to the Volt Switch. I don't really count Torterra, even though Torterra technically is an answer to Volt Switch. The reason I don't count Torterra to an answer to Volt Switch is because Torterra is bad, and if you're bringing it on your team as an answer to Volt Switch, the odds are you've already lost the game, much like I just did. Okay, so, if I had to rate this draft, honestly, and being brutally honest, like I said, we have a whole bunch of Pokemon here that don't really do much. We have, 3 great Pokemon in Gambit, Glamora, and Gliscor, but beyond that, it's like Mega Banette. Everything else here is just kind of bad. So, with a 4 Pokemon draft, but you've managed to have 12 Pokemon and 5 points left over, I would highly recommend figuring out a Steel type to upgrade one of these garbage Pokemon that you have. Maybe get rid of, I don't know, Hisui and Dekidui, because you already have 3 other grass types. You don't need more grass types, for a Steel type. And that might help you quite a bit. But as it stands, this is going to be our current champion as far as worst draft is concerned. because if we list a single move called Freeze Dry, we have neutral, resist, great, times 4 weak, neutral, but not bulky enough to say neutral, really. Weak, going to take a lot of damage anyway, because paper defense. Weak sometimes, but not all of the time. Fire Tauros is not weak to ice, surprise, and also neutral. So, yes, that is definitely something to consider, considering we have, you know, only one resist, and King Gambit is not something that you want to use as a defensive switch-in. So yeah, this is the worst draft so far, and I'm going to give it a whopping total of 4 points. Next up, we have Bento. Okay, great. We have Corviknight, Zeraora, Megapert, Latias, Bulu, Blacephalon, Weavile, Buzzwole, and Aron. Okay, so how do I feel about this? Well, immediately there are no Pokemon that cost 12 or less, which means that Bento is not allowed to Terrastalize, except for this Aaron, which will never Terrastalize, because if you are bringing it, you are playing down a Pokemon by default. All of these Pokemon are pretty mid, especially Mega Swampert without Rain. I don't know why you would do this to yourself, but you have done that to yourself. So yeah, all of this is pretty mid. I don't know why Bento's strategy was pick every Pokemon that cost 15 points possible, but he did. Fantastic stuff. So we have Corviknight. Cool. Weak to electric and fire. Okay. Electric Immunity with Zeraora. You know, it's got Voltorb. That's pretty good. Electric Immunity with Megapert. Fine. Okay. We're trying to build around this Corviknight, as I can see. We have a fire resist in Latias. We have Tapu Bulu, which doesn't really do all that much here. It makes Earthquake weaker for Zeraora, I guess. Blacephalon. Cool. We're really getting the synergy here. Look at this. Blacephalon will still die to Earthquake. I don't know how to tell you this. Weavile. Great. Good Pokemon. Buzzwole. Okay. I guess. Okay, we do have, at the very least, a Fairy Dragon Steel Core with the Latias, Bulu, and Corviknight. That's not bad. We have the Fire Water Grass with Blacephalon, Bulu, and Mega Swampert, which is pretty good. We have Fighting Dark Psychic with Latias, Weavile, and Buzzwole. And beyond that, we have Flying, Electric, and where is our... Oh, Ground. Megapert, right? So, we have all of our main type course covered, and we also have a Ghost type. So, everything, like, as far as type coveraging is concerned, this draft is perfect. Here's the problem with this draft, however. The problem is that you have 8 Pokemon. This is not real. And as a result, you are much easier to prepare for. Sure, it's hard to answer all of these Pokemon at once, but when you have access to 6 Pokemon and you only have to beat 8, it's kind of easy to figure it out. It's kind of easy. And also, the lack of Terrastalizing, which is now allowed in this league, is going to really hurt Bento, I can already tell. Because someone's going to be like, oh yeah, guess what? I knew you were going to go into your Mega Swampert to use Ice Punch on my Torterra, so I turned my Torterra into a Fire type with Terrastalizing, and then I killed your Mega Swampert in 1 hit with Bullet Seed! You fool! You know, and Bento can't really do anything about that. So, as a result, I'm going to go ahead and give this draft, I mean, to be fair, basically everything is there, but tragically, Pert is your only rocker, and that's not good. And before you say, Cupid, Aron, Stealth Rock, shut up. You want to know why? Because Aron is a bad Pokemon. So, Megapert is Stealth Rocks, and that is it. So, what do I have to say about this draft? Beyond that, nothing really. I'm going to give this draft a 7 out of 10. Not enough hazard game. I mean, sure, we have defog for days, right? But we do not have hazard placement of our own, and that's very, very important. Next, we have Mercury's draft. Sorry, throat's getting a little sore. Like I said, you know, these recaps do take a lot out of me. So, Mercury's draft. Okay, so immediately we have Double Weather, Ninetales and Tyranitar. Interesting choice, but okay. We have Squawkabilly for 7, an interesting choice. I don't know what it does, but I hope it's good. Arctozolt with the Alolan Ninetales is nice, especially with Terrastalizing into an electric type with Slush Rush and Bolt Peak. gonna put out some massive damage with that. Make sure you have your ground type ready, but even then, ground types don't like the move Freeze Dry, which is also being brought. So beyond this, what do we have? We have Incineroar, we have Cleaver, we have Mimikyu. The only way I'd Mimikyu is snapping your neck. Jaywitz said that. Excadrill, which is a fantastic Pokemon with Tyranitar, and as I mentioned in the part 1 of the recap, Sandrush Earthquakes are going to go crazy, Moldbreaker Earthquakes are going to go crazy. Excadrill is always a good Pokemon that is not used well enough in draft. Houndstone without last respects, I don't think it's very good without last respects. So we are not looking respectfully at this one. However, it does have Sandrush, I think. If I remember correctly, it's something like that. And then the other ability is Fluffy, which is cool. Amogus, when the imposter is sus. No Spore really hurts this Pokemon, so 8 points is probably fair enough. Draco's Ult. So, you know, we have 2 modes. We have Snow mode, and we have Sand mode, which is, you know, all of this, and also this. And then you also have Vulpix. Now, here's the thing. Earlier, I said that having a ground type is the most important thing for your draft. Why? Earthquake is the best move in the game. You can't tell me otherwise. Earthquake is extremely powerful. It hits so many things so well, and of course, it's just really accessible because a lot of Pokemon get it. Why am I telling you this? This team really struggles with Earthquake. The only Pokemon that wants to come in on an Earthquake of any variety is gonna be your Squawkabilly, because it is immune. Beyond that, you have neutral, weak, neutral, disguised but still neutral, weak to Earthquake, neutral, but again, you don't really want to comment on it. Weak and weak. You have no grass type to resist the Earthquakes, and you also only have the 1 flying type. So switching around on Pokemon spamming Earthquake is very problematic. You're gonna have to do a lot of your own Earthquake spamming to prevent that. Sorry, I had to get some water. Okay, so beyond this, what's our hazard game looking like? Well, we are on Sandstorm, so we have tons of Pokemon that get up rocks. We have Tyranitar, we have Cleaver with the Stone Axe, you have Excadrill. All of these are great for putting up rocks. Fantastic Stealth Rocks Pokemons. Love that for you. And you also have Rapid Spinner Excadrill. Beyond that, I'm hoping Squawkabilly gets defogged, but if it doesn't, that's really unfortunate. Because there's really not much removal outside of this Excadrill using Rapid Spin. And you don't quite want to see that. Stealth Rocks is very important, and when you have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Pokemon that are weak to Stealth Rock, and everything else is taking neutral, neutral, only thing that resists, neutral, and neutral to Stealth Rocks, that causes a lot of problems for you defensively. Like I stated, you're gonna have to be doing a lot of pressure to prevent your opponent from pressuring you. And if you ever alleviate the pressure and your opponent's gonna get momentum, you're probably gonna just get rolled up and tossed to the side. You don't really want that. So, what are we going to do about that? Well, I would recommend maybe not having 3 weathers, or maybe perhaps giving up a little bit on the Sandrush core. You do have 3 of them after all, and that's kind of excessive. So maybe give up one of those for like something like hazards removal, but maybe hopefully a flying type or like a grass type with rapid spin, like a Zarina or something perhaps, if it's available. I'm not sure, but it is something to consider. I mean, I don't think that this draft is as bad as Shadow Kings, but like I said, there are quite a few holes to abuse here. If we were looking at type cores, I mean, we have our fairy, we've got a dragon, and we've got a steel type. Fantastic. We have a fire type. We don't have a water. And we have a grass type. Okay, well, water's very good defensively, so we're missing that as far as defensive are concerned. We have flying with Squawkabilly, electric and ground, so that's good. And we have dark, psychic where? No psychic. And do we have fighting? Also no. So, yeah, you know, we're missing a couple of important type cores, I would say. But, I mean, when you're going triple weather, you gotta make some sacrifices, I suppose. If I have to give this draft an overall rating, I'd probably give it a 5.5. I don't remember what I gave Shadow King, but this is better than that because, you know, at least all of these Pokemon, despite their point values being fairly low, have some variety of usefulness with the team. Alright, so next up, we are going to have Gorfilf's team. Gorfilf, new to the Discord, joined for this draft. Very cool stuff. Let's see what they were able to cook. So, we have Dragapult, Heatran, Mega Diancie, immediately Fairy Dragon Steel, very strong Fairy Dragon Steel, very expensive Fairy Dragon Steel, so let's see where the points were sacrificed later on. Gastrodon, Mandibuzz, Iron Hands. Okay, so now we have, you know, immediately flying ground electric, immediately. Alright, we have Alakazam, Shaman, Tangela, 1 point, Tangela drafted live Tangle reaction, not clickbait, Garbodor, and Oinkalon. So, these 3 Pokemon at the bottom here tell me that these Pokemon are never going to be brought to a battle. So, if we just ignore those, let's go ahead and look at this top part. So, what cores do we have? It looks like we have everything covered, actually. Fairy Dragon Steel, not in that order that I clicked. Fire, Water, Grass. Fighting, where's the Dark type? Dark, right there. Psychic. Epic. I love it. And as I also said, you know, we have the ground electric flying right there. And yeah, I mean, we've got all of our type coverage. We have good hazards game. We have Heatran to put up rocks. We have Mega Diancie to put up rocks and have Magic Bounce. We have Mandibuzz, which is, in my honest opinion, a top 5 defogger of all time. I mean, that's it as far as removal is concerned. But we have Magic Bounce, at least, with Mega Diancie, so that's good. And also Gastrodon got rocks, and I think spikes too. So it's kind of good right now. Offensively, you have a whole bunch going for you. You got the Pult, you got the Heatran, which hits very hard and is still pretty solid defensively as well. You have Mega Diancie, base 160 in both attack stats. Very hard-hitting Pokemon. You got Iron Hands to throw them. You got Alakazam to have Magic Guard. And you also have a Shaman there, which is base 100. Which tries its best. I like the speed tiers. I know I haven't really gone over them a lot since the recap restarted, but I do like the speed tiers here. We have a good slope downwards. We have Bolt into Zam, into Diancie, into Shaman, into the Heatran, I think, is next. And yeah, that's just a very good slope down. It's going to be very hard to prepare for the speed tiers of this draft. Speed tiers being, you know, how sloped off your speed is. You don't want to have, like, you know, a big valley of speed in the middle. You want to have it be an even slope all the way down from the top to the bottom. Why do you want an even slope? It makes it harder for your opponent to use choice items. Like, for example, let's say I had a Pokemon that was faster than Dragapult. No, not faster than Dragapult. That was slower than Adamant Dragapult. But you know, definitely going to be faster than Shaman no matter what, right? That means in that gap, I might as well not even try to outspeed the Dragapult, but I can still outspeed the Shaman and make myself have a choice band. And then I can hit harder with that item. Very powerful stuff. So that's why the speed tiers are important. And this team has fantastic speed tiers. It's an excellent example of that. Now, these bottom 3 Pokemon, I mean, the Poison type is useful for type cores, but I don't know. There's really not too much to say about Tangela and Oinkalon. They could probably be replaced with different Pokemon. and have similar, if not better, effects. I'm sure there's some good stuff at that 1 point and 3 point tier that has been overlooked. That being said, so far this draft is probably among my top 3. So if I gave both Spirit, I gave Spirit a 9, and I think I gave the Boston Blues an 8. I'm gonna also give Gorefield an 8, I believe. This team is very good. I just really don't like the 3 Pokemon that aren't going to do anything at the bottom. That is me. I like it when all of my Pokemon have a use of some variety. Again, that's just me. You know, if you feel like that's unnecessary, then more power to you. I am now going to relocate myself to the other side of the screen once again, so I can go ahead and recap the last 3 teams. I'm doing the electric slide. Fantastic. Next up, we have Ingles' team, the Decky Dewey Fledglings. Alright, so we've started off with Gouging Fire, Walking Wake, and Raging Bolt. We have all 3 of them. Great, why? Dragon, Dragon, Dragon. Yeah, oh baby, Triple Dragon. Heck yeah, I love that for you. What's a fairy type, honestly? What the fuck is a fairy type? Anyways, here's a Goldengo. That's cool. That's your only answer to fairy. If Goldengo ever dies, you lose to every fairy that ever existed, ever. At least ones that have a relatively decent amount of speed, like Tapu Lele or Tapu Koko. Sorry, I had to go in for more water. Okay. No, but in all seriousness, what do we have? Okay, so we have a fire, water, grass core. We have no fairy type, so we have a dragon steel core. That's cool. I mean, we have doubled up electric types. We have an ice type with rapid spin. At least there's that. I believe Serp gets defog. We have Garg to set up rocks. We have Blissey to set up rocks. Yeah, I guess our plan is just to use all of the Johto dogs. I mean, this is clearly an unserious draft to me. This draft does not look serious. It looks like we picked 3 legendary dogs, and then with the rest of it, we tried to be serious by drafting Stall with Goldango. And before you say, Cupid Superior is not Stall, literally, no, it is Stall. Because look at the rest of these Pokemon. You have Garg, we have Blissey, we have Mr. Rhyme. You know, that is, you know, I mean, at least these 2. It's just like, clearly this is your defensive core. Now, here's a problem with this defensive core. Fighting types would like to know your location, or any Pokemon with fighting type coverage is going to probably tear you a new one. You gotta be cautious of that, especially when most of your team is part Dragon type and you have nothing that resists fighting. What else do we have to say? Stealth Rocks, great. We have 2 Pokemon that use rocks. That's all you ever really need. But if you want more than 2, then you're good. Yeah, I mean, like I said, this draft just comes off as kind of unserious to me. You know, it's gonna really struggle with a fast fairy type once this Goldengo faints. And obviously, you know, you're gonna be like, oh, just don't let the Goldengo die. Well, obviously you aren't going to just let the Goldango die, but here's the thing. In a game, your opponent is going to have a set game plan. If that game plan is kill Goldango, win with Iron Valiant, then the game plan is kill Goldango, win with Iron Valiant, or whatever other fairy type that is fast exists. And this team, tragically, you only have the one thing to prevent that sweep. Nothing else on this team resists fairy. Like you have one fairy resist, and then you have weak to fairy. Well, not weak to fairy, but like weak, neutral, right? No fairy resist? Well, actually, no. I shouldn't say that. Fairy is neutral on Gouging Fire, because fire resists fairy. However, Gouging Fire is another... It's like the King Gambit situation, where you don't want to put Gouging Fire in front of a fairy-type attack because you want to preserve the health of your Gouging Fire, or it will perish. And you don't want your Gouging Fire to perish, obviously. So what can we really expect from this draft? Well, probably a lot of, like, Specs, Dragon Dance, or Bulk Up, you know, Thunderclap, Gonna have Recover, possibly even like Substitute or Nasty Plot, Shadow Ball. I mean, like, there's not a lot of flexibility to expect here. I think this draft is actually pretty easy to deal with. I do like the point distribution pretty well, but I have an issue with your speed tiers. Serp being your fastest is fine, I guess. Serp's a little bit slower than you want your fastest Pokemon to be, especially now. So I would recommend picking up something a little bit speedier than that. Yeah, finding... You know what else clears most of this team, if not all of it? Mega Lopunny. Where are those who switch in on Mega Lopunny's close combat? But where are those who switch on the Lopunny? So yeah. Since this draft, to me, is very unserious, I'm going to give this draft... I mean, okay, so if I'm looking at it objectively... probably also a 5.5 in all seriousness. The lack of a Fairy Dragon Steel completed core is not what you want to see. You definitely want that core complete, as it's probably the most important trio of typing that you can get in Pokemon. Beyond that, I mean... We're also missing, you know, our Dark Fighting Psychic core. Entirely, I think. No, wait, no, we have Psychic type Mr. Rhyme. Okay, we're saved. Huge, major even. We are saved from our hubris with Mr. Rhyme. Incredible stuff. Yeah, you're gonna need to fix a lot of this type coverage, because having triple dragons is not what you want to do, believe it or not. Alright, on to the next one, which requires me to move this, so... I've moved it too high. Alright, our next draft, and our second to last, the new pup, Frank the Wolf. It is his first draft league, and let's just say before his team was revised, it was absolutely terrible. What the heck is going on at the top of my screen? Let me fix this. Oh, I'm on the wrong screen. I meant to fix this. There we go. Man, fantastic. We fixed it. Great. I deserve a raise. Okay, so we're not going to talk about what this team was before. We're going to talk about what it is now. So, Darkrai, Urshifu Rapid, Latios, Scizor, Thundurus, Zoroark Hisuian, Nidoqueen, Mega Audino, Typhlosion, Pichu. Okay, so Typhlosion, being 8 points, is pretty high, but I don't entirely disagree. I mean, it's nice to have Specs Eruptions, you know, Terrascalize for Fire type, and then you're just feeling like you're Chiyu at home. You love that. The Darkrai is pretty good. Even without the ability to put it to sleep, Darkrai has fantastic stats all around, and also really good offensive coverage. Urshifu Rapid, Surging Strikes, Surging Strikes, Surging Strikes. Latios, which has Flip Turn, going to be very strong and needs to be abused on this team. Scizor, it's Scizor. Do I really need to say what Scizor does? Scizor has done the same thing since Generation 4, and it has been good the whole time. Thundurus. Incarnate for me. I don't dislike Thundurus here. I don't. The Hisuian Zoroark is nice. It can be very funny, and hopefully he's able to get off a Supreme Bamboozle with the Zorui and Hisuiark. Next, we are going to have Nidoqueen. Fantastic. It put up Stealth Rock and is not as damaging as Nidoking. But it also have Toxic Spike. Very good. Audino Mega. I mean, it's Fairy type. That's all I can really say about it. I mean, it's Mega Audino. Audino is never really going to be something that's like, oh, this is the most exciting Pokemon I have ever seen. You know, it's just Audino. It's kind of like a glass of milk, you know? It's just, eh. And the Typhlosion, which I've already covered. So, looking at our type course, we have a Fairy, we have a Dragon, and we have a Steel type. Good start. We have a dark type, a fighting type, and a psychic type. Good. Okay, we have an electric, we have a flying, and a ground type. Good. Okay. What about fire, water, grass? We have fire. Well, we have water, but we are lacking in the grass type department. Now, this is fine. I mean, I've had plenty of leagues where I've made it deep into the playoffs. In fact, I've made a finals without having grass type in my draft, but grass is, you know, if you want to fill out all of your type cores, you're going to want a grass type there. But overall, I mean, I like the offense of this team. I mean, you know, Darkrai, Urshifu Rapid, Latios, all those put out some good damage. Scizor, if banded, can put out insane damage of its own. Zoroark, Hisuian, very strong, hard-hitting Pokemon. Thundurus is good. I mean, yeah, you've got good offensive potential here, straight up. That being said, though, we are lacking in hazard removal. I mean, we got Defog, we got Thundurus Incarnate, but Thundurus Incarnate, again, I feel like isn't exactly a defogger that you want to use. Sure, it's Prankster Defog, but, like, you're also probably just going to get hit and die after, and you don't want to lose a whole Pokemon to remove Stealth Rocks. You never want to lose a whole Pokemon to remove some Stealth Rocks. Because that means that the rocks did their job. And then your defogger is dead and they can just put them up again. And yeah, that's something you want to be cautious about. I mean, the hazard placement is Nidoqueen, but it's okay. I feel like Nidoqueen is an acceptable Pokemon to bring every week. It's by far not the worst you could do, but you could probably find better. There's only so much helping you can do. This team was made with the scraps of what was left over after the draft because Frank decided to draft Mono Electric like a psychopath. So, you know, I'm gonna give this draft a, okay, well, I was gonna dock him points for the Mono Electric, and you know what, I think I still will. This draft gets a 6 out of 10. Don't start off by drafting Mono Electric. You lose a whole point and probably a half point too for drafting Mono Electric to start. Don't do that. You're bad. And banned. Okay, and now we have our final recap. Team Assassin, who I don't know if he plays Pokemon Showdown at all, but we're gonna find out. So, we have led with Urshifu Single Strike. Okay, we're blowing wickedly. Fantastic stuff. We've taken Torkoal to prevent the other people from having access to the future Paradox Pokemon. Great. I wonder if we... not the future. The past Paradox Pokemon. Great. I wonder if any of our other Pokemon are going to have anything to do with this Torkoal whatsoever. Mega Scizor. Okay, great. We've made our Mega Scizor worse by putting fire up. Great. I love it. Tornadus. Okay, so we've nerfed our Tornadus' Hurricanes by putting up the sun. At least I think Hurricane is nerfed in the sun. I don't know entirely. I believe it is, though. Ursaluna Blood Moon. Okay, Ursaluna. It doesn't really care. That's the thing, is it doesn't really care. Houndoom. Epic. Look at that. One Pokemon with Sun Synergy, and it's a 4-point dog with base 95 speed that doesn't even hit all that hard. Even with the solar power boost. Cool. Mamoswine. Great. We've made our ice type weaker in the sun. Breloom. Great. We've made our grass type weaker in the sun. Wheezing. Okay. It doesn't care. Sure, your flamethrowers are boosted. Now your flamethrowers, instead of doing 20%, are going to do 30%. Which is nice, but not that much. And Fergaraf. Okay. Well, it's Fergaraf. It's not impressive. Okay. So, first, type cores. Steel. No fairy. No dragon. Okay. Fire. Okay, we got a fire type. Where's our water type? Where is our water type? Oh, no, there isn't one. But we have a grass type, though. That's cool. That's cool. What about fighting Dark Psychic? Well, you already have 2 of those with this. So surely, right? Surely we have a psychic type and we can complete the core. Well, we have Farigarath. Okay. Okay, what about electric flying ground? Okay, we've got ground type. We've got ground type. We've got flying type. But we do not have an electric type. And that's not what you want to see. Okay, so, now that we're pointing out all of the problems with this draft, you can see that there is actually quite a few of them. Alright, so what's the problem with this draft? Fighting types. Step 1, fighting types. You have weak to fighting, weak to fighting, weak to fighting. And those are your 3 probably most effective Pokemon in the draft that aren't named Mega Scizor. And even then, Mega Scizor, I mean, it's Mega Scizor, you know? You have Sun to make your Mega Scizor worse, which is not what you want to see. This Torkoal, in my opinion, honestly, should just not be here. It really should, like, you could replace this with so many things. It's 16 whole points for this Torkoal. That's, if anything, making your draft worse. Rocks, very cool. We have Stealth Rocks, good. We have Rapid Spin, okay. So you're gonna just not use Drought on your Torkoal. You paid 16 points for a Torkoal without Drought because it makes your team worse. Ouch. Do you know how bad that is for you? That's like the lowest value possible. Torkoal's like maybe a 2-point Pokemon if you don't give it Drought. Like, that's the whole reason Torkoal is 16 in the first place, is because of Drought. Torkoal is expensive because of Drought, making it have just... It enables all of the past Pokemon, right? And then you didn't draft any of them. Like, why is this here? You wasted 16 points! That's over 1/10 of your budget! You just wasted it! For what? Why did you do that? Change your ways, now! And again, there's no completed type course here. So let's look at the overlapping types and see what we can point out. We have fighting. We have dark. We have fire. I clicked the wrong Pokemon. Fire. We have ground. We have normal. And we also have, I think that's all of them. You don't want more than, like, maybe 2 overlapping types. This draft is entirely overlapping types. And as a result, it's going to struggle a lot. Sure, you can put up Stealth Rocks like crazy. Sure, you've got Defoggers and Hazard Removal like crazy. But that's all that's really here, you know? Like, you have the ability to hit hard with Urshifu, Scizor, and, you know, Ursaluna. Cool, right? Defensively, what do we have? Mega Scizor. Torkoal, sometimes. Wheezing, sometimes. And even then, I'd argue Wheezing is not what you're looking for a defensive Pokemon. Sure, it's great. It does everything you're going to want it to do. But, its stats aren't exactly good enough to where you can just put it in front of something and be like, okay, Wheezing, you've got this. You know, Wheezing is just going to fold. It has no reliable recovery. It's only got Pain Split for recovery. And Pain Split's not what you're looking for. So, yeah. Now that we've pointed out all of the holes in this draft, I am sure you guys can assume that I am going to give this a 6. I mean, look, like if getting as many overlapping types as possible was the plan, then great. This was a poker hand, you would have 2 pair instead of a royal flush, and you don't want to just have two pair when you could have a royal flush, you know? Like, there are a couple of teams here that are royal flushes, and this is 2 pair in the hand, and you don't want that. So I do recommend making some changes to that. Anyways, I hope you all enjoyed today's recap. I don't know why I said it like that. I don't know. It just took over me. But this was today's recap. I hope you all enjoyed today's recap of the Pokemon Season 4 Draft League, Draft Recap, Draft Review, Draft Analysis, And I hope that I was able to open your eyes to things and also help you and all that good stuff. Everyone have a beautiful day, and I am going to go get ready for work. Later.